Welcome. This is the Trade Tribe Season 1, Episode 11. We finally got to Episode 11. I feel like Hero owes us like, what, $200 a lunch each for everyone on the call right now. And we'll get into that more in this episode. My name is Taufik Suleiman, the student investor. As by no means am I an expert, but every week I'm looking to learn and bring my tribe along. The Trade Tribe is our trading community and show where we learn to trade, share strategies, and contribute to making the tribe wealthier. This show is our take on how we analyze the markets, what we think is going to happen, and how we make plays on that, as well as share our learnings along the journey. So between our trading group chat and our weekly recorded calls, we want to see every young adult, a part of our tribe, thrive. So make sure to add us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and any podcast platform at the Trade Tribe. And yeah, we've made it, guys. But before we go into this episode, similar agenda and outline. We just give a quick intro of ourselves, check in, see how our week is going, meme of the week, book club segment. We have a new book this week, a week in review of all the stuff that happened in the past week, the week ahead, members picks, then just offline, off topic, and outro. On the call today, we have myself, Hero, Javier, and Enox. I didn't include this in the slides, but how's your week been? How's things going with y'all? And since this is episode 11, the last of this season, how has the Trade Tribe experience been for you? And I'll start with Hero.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate you on accomplishing your goal. I set out a challenge to you. I gave you 6 weeks. I believe it was week 4 when you skipped, and I was like, yep, he's done. I don't have to worry about this anymore. But you came back strong and you finished, and you were consistent with it. You continued to grow on it. You took criticism well, and from there you led the pack. So I will yield. Well done. I think that this was a good setup for you and everything went really well. But I think the Trade Tribe has done wonders for me. I've seen a 13% total growth since you started. I've learned about new stock options that had dividend options that I wasn't aware of that I can now use. So those are all benefits. But the week was copacetic. This Friday, I plan on letting out the winter release of the comic book. Chapter 8 is going to be dropping this Friday for me, hopefully. So feel good about that.
That's what's up. Congrats. How about you, Javier?
Yeah, for sure. How the Trade Tribe experience has been for me so far, it's been like really, really, really great. Because I think the big thing, what helps me, it's a good thing that everybody throws in pointers like, oh, watch out for this. I made a call for this. I think a good thing is when we make these books, because it really just like solidifies our education that we actually want to know what's going on, not just making these random trades. So I feel like, yeah, just having educational parts of this and plus we're all making each other money is a great thing as well. I've seen since joining, I'm like a 10% up since I first joined. So that's pretty great. So yeah, it's been a really great experience so far.
Dope. How about you, Enox?
It's been a great second weeks now as a member of the club. And I really enjoy access to all the resources that you guys are provided, the books, all the information that's needed to understand how to trade with options, but also having a community of people that you can reach to whenever you have questions. So it's been a great experience so far, and I'm looking forward to, to be a part of it in the long term.
Dope. You heard it here from everyone else. The Trade Tribe is a great experience. So if you're not a part of it, you're missing out. For me, it's been a really good week. I spent most of the week in California, going back and forth between San Diego, LA, and Malibu, spending time with sisters for their birthdays and Thanksgiving. So that was a great experience. And just a great way to just get out of Chicago. I hate cold weather, so I needed to get some sun in my system. But now I'm back in the studio, back in the booth. We got new equipment this week, so that's exciting. But for me, the Trade Tribe experience has been nothing short of an amazing experience. Since we started it a couple of weeks ago, I feel like I've just seen everyone's growth, and that just motivated me to grow even faster, bring more people into the group. So next year, I have a huge challenge I'm going to talk about later on, bringing more people in. But just seeing everyone learning from each other, I feel like I've learned a lot about stuff I did not know, that I didn't expect to know from other people in the group chat. So a lot of stuff that I might have missed out on. I feel like I've become a lot more accountable, taking a lot less losses. I can't remember what exactly my percentage up I am right now, but I am up a couple thousand. So we love to see it. It's just been a great experience. It's just been great finally having that community. I feel like when I first started, I was doing everything solo. I was trying things out by myself. I was trying to bring other people in, but none of it actually really worked. But finally, I feel like I have a group of people that I can bounce ideas off of, really grow together with. So for me, the Trade Tribe experience has been amazing. I'm gonna talk more about that in the next couple episodes, or in the next segment. But yeah, that was pretty much the week for me. Moving on, the meme of the week. This week, the meme is when the stock market closed on the weekends. For me, I feel like after this past week having such a great week, I did sell off a couple positions and buy into new positions. And I was just waiting for Monday to come. As soon as I got off my flight to Chicago, I'm checking back to Chicago. I'm checking my phone for updates on the stocks I'm investing in. But honestly, the markets were closed, so I don't know why I was checking it. Well, it's just funny. You just see Pablo Escobar just sitting down one of the episodes. I remember this episode very clearly, and you just see him just thinking and just hoping like, okay, what's next? Just without any purpose. I feel like the stock market every morning gives me some kind of purpose. If I'm more motivated to get out of bed for the stock market than I am for my actual job. So it's interesting. How about y'all? What do y'all think?
Sometimes I wish I could sell drugs and just be done. Just get hood rich, man. Hood rich is the goal here for me. I don't want to be a billionaire or millionaire. I just want to be hood rich.
That's facts though. Like I've literally been contemplating in the past few weeks, like that it would be so easy to just go into and start selling drugs, but it's like, nah, I need to set a good tone, set a good example for people. Like there's other ways to make money.
Okay, I'll follow you guys until I have to start selling weed, man.
So that's your backup plan.
Backup plan, weed man.
You haven't learned from doubting us. You doubted us on making it to episode 11, so you gotta learn.
Hey, I'm still here, aren't I? I'm still
Facts.
here. All right, dang, get off my back. I said I'm here.
Facts. I'm still gonna keep egging at you. When we reach episode 100, I'm gonna be like, remember that time when Hero didn't believe we'll make it up to 11?
Yeah, but if you make it to 100, I can literally say you wouldn't be here without me. So then it changes again. It changes.
Yeah, you flipping the script.
Yeah.
I feel it. How about you guys? Enox, have you?
Yeah, on the weekends, I feel for me. I guess I get kind of relieved. Like if I have a good week, like okay, I can finally relax and don't have to like stare at my screen for like 2 hours like every morning. So, I mean, even though I make money, like I like having my like free time as well. So that's kind of how I am too on the weekends.
Facts.
Actually a difference because prior to joining you guys, I was actually an investor. So I just buy stock that has a opportunity to value, and I'll just leave it at that. So now I actually take it as an opportunity to do more research and read books and learn more about trading options. So, hopefully in a few weeks, I have the same feeling that you guys have right now.
Facts. Well, that is the meme of the week. Moving on, we have the special topic for this episode. This episode has been a long time coming. This is 12 weeks. We have missed 1 week just to how busy I was, but we've come a long way. Part of me did not believe we'll make it to 11. Hero didn't believe we'll make it to episode 11. Enox hopped on somewhere in between episode 5 and 6. I think Javier joined like towards the first few episodes, but it's been interesting. Like since we started, we've grown our Discord group to about 20 plus members. We have our podcast, 11 episodes. This one being the 11th episode, 7 up right now, 8 going up tomorrow. Our YouTube channels are investing, getting a couple new subscribers, people watching our videos. Same stuff you will find on the podcast, but with the visuals that you can see on here. The book club, we had started the book club, a great idea by Hero. And since then, I feel like we've been learning so much. We completed our first book about 2 weeks ago, which was the Calculated Risks book. Great primer into just basics of options trading as well as technical analysis. And this week we're starting the second book, which is how to day trade for a living. So I feel like the book club is a segment that's going to be here for a good time. It might spin off into its own other thing, but it's been a great addition. Our social media has been gaining traction. Our Instagram finally hit 100 followers. So that's the first key big milestone. Next milestone will be 1,000. So starting from the end of this season to the next season is going to be roll to 1,000. So let's get that up there. We do have a Twitter, obviously not 100 followers, but eventually we'll get there. It will definitely get there. We now have still have the 2 courses. We have the investor starter guide that I had done in March around the beginning of the COVID, and I just started an intro to options course that should be coming out on our pages as well for those that are interested specifically in options, just a beginner things you need to know before you jump into it. We also do have a Patreon. So as we're going on, we are going to be taking a hiatus for the episodes, but you can definitely support and tune into the recordings for our regular Sunday calls where we just talk about the weekend review and week ahead. So if you're interested in that, definitely support through Patreon. And our website is coming soon. I'm hoping that will be done before the second season. But it's just been so exciting, like seeing how much progress we've made with the Trade Tribe and having people like you guys on the call, those people listening, other things like that. It's just been a great experience. I feel like we're definitely closing out this season on a great note. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how much more we can go bigger or better in season 2. But yeah, it's been a great experience. How about you guys? You're on mute, Hero.
Yeah, like I told you when I first started, it's like I told you, all this trying to get 100 this, 100 that. Man, if you don't have 11 of something to give these people, how you gonna ask them for something? Like you have to be able to show fruit of labor. Like I think one of the better call outs that I made while watching is because I really stick to dividends, and it takes a lot for me to muster up the strength to look into something. But when I called out that AMC, like people really did. I was just like if you were on this show, you would have heard it a week ago, and then the week of it, you would have seen it again. So it's like there's your fruit of your labor. So I'm a big component of that. I'm a person who's been on the social media tip for like 4 years now, and I'm just now hitting 1,000 goals. And I'm just now saying, okay, I'll do a sponsorship. But, I like to say fuck and shit like that. So I don't really stress myself to put up like that. But I was a big component of you first having value, then getting quantity.
Facts. I think you've brought up a great point where you have to have something to show people before you kind of try to convince them anything. I feel like once we started hit like 5 episodes, people are like, oh, this is a real thing. This is something that like I can look forward to every week. And like it's crazy to see like my friends say, oh yeah, I saw the episode. Like one of my friends would text me, oh yeah, I'm listening to the podcast right now as you're texting me. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. So having that content out there that people can really see, okay, this is serious. This is something that people are behind and it's being put out there is powerful. And the second thing you said about like really doing your not really due diligence, but like looking into something and seeing that it actually works after you put the energy and time into it, especially with the AMC call, which is one of the best calls I've heard of in the group chat since we started it. I still believe you have an inside man and you just refuse to tell us about it. But that's a really great point. I'm starting to see like when you spend time putting into these things, like you hear people say, oh yeah, make sure you're spending this amount of hours a week putting into like doing research or looking into it. It's like it actually works. And this group that we have is evidence of that. Like when you put the time in every week, consistency was one of our pillars, you will see the results. And now as we're saying it right now, we are starting to see the results. So I definitely agree with what you said. Anything you want to add as well, Javier, Enox?
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, the Trade Tribe was a great idea. Like anybody could trade, but just putting that, like making a whole group for yourself, and like it's just awesome. The great initiative you did, and yeah, like people said, I try to share my story too, putting the podcast on there. I'm not sure how much people actually listen to it, but I mean, just seeing that's there to provide for people that usually don't hear like people like that look like us actually like trading. It's usually like people on YouTube like, oh, if you want to get rich fast, make this one trade a week. Like, no, it's actually like it's more to it. It's like you have to learn how to do everything. And with the Trade Tribe, they show you that you can learn. And we're all in a group. A lot of us are actually beginners. So it's a good thing that we're all starting up together. We're all helping each other. So yeah, the Trade Tribe is really a great initiative that you did.
That's facts. People are not going to pay attention. Like if you could post your story, which I really appreciate you doing, but people going to look at like, he don't know what he talk about until you become a millionaire. So at the point you're a millionaire, you're going to be like, oh, damn, why didn't you tell me? We have an episode every week. Y'all could have listened to. Y'all missed out. So as over time, you're going to start seeing people convert like, oh, this is for real. And like, okay, let me hop in now.
That's that bullshit I be telling people. Like, I remember when I played in the league. Like I can't. Everybody was like, "Damn, how'd you do it? How you?" Tawfiq was there 6 o'clock every morning when I'm waking up, leaving the house to go run and work out, and coming back at like 10, then go do it again at 4 p.m. Like no one was with us when we were shooting in the gym then, and nobody was in the. We see who was in the trade tribe right now when it was happening. Like
Right.
I long have stopped trying to prove I'm great to normal people.
Mm.
And that's something you have to be prepared to do as you get better in life. You have to, like, certain people are gonna come up to you and ask you why, and you could sit there and explain to them, or you could just be like, you know what, you got it, you're absolutely right, you do you, boo. Like, and then when they come back and then when they come up and say how, then you can be like, oh, now you're ready to listen, let me show you.
And that's facts. It's really demotivating when people see you put in the work in, but don't believe you until they see the results. But then you look at, but for us, it's hard. It's easy for us to be remotivated because we see our profits. It's like, okay, at the end of the week, I made this much. All right, I'm back in it for next week. So it's easy buy-in for me. So as they're not there, shooting the gym with us, shit. Once we get drafted, following the same analogy, they're gonna be at the reception.
Yeah. Hey, drinks on me, baby.
Hey, you heard it first here. Hero is buying drinks for everyone in the trade tribe. So this is recorded, and we're gonna call back to this moment.
Come on down.
But yeah, it's definitely been a great experience, and I'm really excited. I'll probably do a special segment on this later this week just to close it out, providing a little bit of highlights from previous episodes and experiences in the group. If y'all have anyone y'all want to shout out, definitely let me know, and I'll make sure to include it for the next segment. But that pretty much covers the special topic for this episode. We made it to episode 11, and that is huge. And I'm just glad to see us reach 100 episodes in the future. Moving on, we have the book club segment. So last segment, as I said, we kind of closed out on the Calculated Risk book, which is a great read. And I'm probably going to go back and read that third chapter to learn more about the strategies and practice that. But this week, we're segueing into how to day trade for a living. This was definitely recommended by one of our Instagram followers on our page. And it was really great a suggestion once I read the summary. So I was like, hey, this is a great topic that we can kind of talk about this week. And basically, it's just a book that kind of teaches people a little about beginner's guide to trading, specifically day trading. And it kind of gives you other main components or topics that will help you be a better day trader, such as risk management, different tools and scanners, trading psychology, things like that. But this week, I think most of us got up to chapter 3. I'll stop somewhere in the middle of chapter 3 just because of how busy I was with other stuff. But even just that, it was definitely great going over the basics again. For just as context, this book is really a short book. Is like about 92 pages, so it is an easy read for those people, and the author was very intentional about that. He said, hey, if you go into the trading, you probably don't care enough to read 100 pages of books. I'm just going to keep it up to a short book, 92 pages, give you all you need, and you just go from there, which is smart, and everything is really valid in what he said. That and in the first 3 chapters, you start to see that value just from reading it. The first chapter being a basic introduction, going over stuff like, hey, if you're coming into this, take it seriously. These are stuff you're going to need, like tools, community, things like that. The second chapter, he kind of distinguishes between day trading and swing trading. Talk about stuff like fundamental triggers and best time to trade during the day. And the third chapter, they talk about risk management, stuff like sizing your trade, using the 2% rule, entries, exits, and trading psychology. But I think it was a great chapter, and if anyone would like to talk about stuff that they read, it would be a great time. Javier?
Yeah, for sure. Just so I'm kind of reiterating what you're saying. The introduction is really talking about take it seriously. It's not a gamble when you do this. It's actually like educated thing. It's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do it, it can't be taken away. This is really educational stuff. And another thing I was talking about was like we're all retail traders. So retail traders, like, it's everyday people. We don't work with a firm. We don't work with anybody. And he asked, how can we trade against institutional traders, people that work at Goldman Sachs, people that work at JP Morgan Chase? And a main thing he pointed out was do guerrilla trading. So basically what that means is just jumping in the opportune moment. You don't have to trade every day like those big institutional traders, but just find the good moments when it's a good dip, when you see good news about a company, kind of the fundamentals. That's a good time to trade. And another thing he mentioned was when the sector is bad, don't trade in that sector if it's more likely going to keep on going down. Um, Another thing
That's a great
mentioned in
point.
in risk management, it was a 2% rule. Never ever risk. I'm never ever make a trade more than 2% of your money because that'll just be too much. And make sure your stop losses are at a good support level. And yeah, it's basically what I got out of it. So.
Do you kind of do the 2% rule as well, or is that something that you kind of learned from this book?
Yo, actually, from that, like I've seen myself. He said that many traders make mistakes, like kind of they put their confidence ahead, like it's going down, but it's gonna come up eventually. And I made some of those mistakes. It went down, and I was watching it keep on going down. And by the time I knew it, I lost all my money. But just reading this and just being more like psychology, like just being more like aware of your money. Like once you see it, like don't put your pride in front of everything basically. If you lose like a couple bucks, it's okay. Don't try to like make a home run every trade. If you have some profit, just keep that profit. It doesn't every trade, like I said, every trade doesn't have to be a home run. You could make a couple bucks, and those bucks will kind of like pile up a little bit, and your 2% can end up one day being like $1,000. So like just keep on working for your 2% to be really high, basically.
Facts. I definitely agree with that. I feel like the first part you said with the treat like a business and distinguishing between retail traders and institutional traders was really a great point, because a lot of people don't know that this is really a kind of a game. It's a game, really. It's not something that is, and gambling is a game too, but with investing is a different type of game. As long as you're doing your due diligence and know what you're doing, it's a game that you can win. It's not set up for you to win, and that's slowly changing, especially with investing becoming more democratized with different tools and things like that. But you're playing a game with other people in the world, and the goal is to take other people's money, take away their points or your capital in a sense. And like, although you're fighting for that, it's not hard. It can be easy to lose all that capital, but it's not hard to keep it as long as you're using the right mindset and right psychology. So I think that definitely is a great point. And for those that don't know, the difference between institutional traders and retail traders. Retail traders are individuals like myself that just opened up a brokerage account that's typically tied to our Social Security, and we just use that to invest money. Although it's obviously taxed at our regular income rates, we just use that to kind of grow our wealth. It could be from people just looking to become long-term investors, speculators, traders, things like that. But then you have the big dogs, people off Wall Street, people that have been doing this since the stock market ever existed, since in the early 1900s. And basically, these are those Charles Schwab's, the big banks that you can think about. And they're the ones that have to have money moving around. So they are always trading. They typically use a lot of high frequency trading and algorithms for their trading. But the downside to them, as they said in the book, is that they have to always trade. They're the ones that make the market. So if they're not trading, the market just falls apart. So they're obviously at a loss because they have to trade to keep money moving around. And for us, we can benefit off that. We can stop trading whenever we want, but we can eat off those crumbs. I think in the previous episode, Hero had said that like his goal is to eat off the crumbs of these big people. And that was a great point because they leave them out there for you. It's up to you to go grab them.
Yeah. The crumbs of a billionaire could turn you into a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's that is how I function in it. And you have to remember, like for every time you make 4% or even 1% profit on any trade, that's money you've stolen from
somebody else.
The people with the big brain algorithm. You mean to tell me in my basement in the middle of fuckwit nowhere, I was able to outclass Charles Schwab? That's how you have to take it. You have to be prideful. You have to trade with intent. I intend to be better than I was yesterday. And you have to take your L's and not just like say brush it off. You got to put some salt in that, because what you've just done is fed the corporate machine. So you got to look at it like that. Like, how am I going to beat this system?
And that's a great point. That's
like your goal is to win. Yeah.
Keep going, sorry.
I said you're never gonna beat house money. Just like in Vegas, you're never gonna be able to beat out house money. Hell, after you win too much, they'll tell you, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you try another table?"
Right.
Yeah. So like, you don't go out here trying to beat it unless you just got it like that. But you should be hungry, and I think that's something we all can relate to.
Definitely. Definitely. And with that, it's like they with these big institutions, it's a feat if they can just beat the S&P 500 that doesn't average 12% to 15% for over them. They're just trying to make 15% for the year. But when you're an individual trader, 15% a week is more feasible. You can do much better than them. There's people that are up double their accounts just in the first few months of this year. So the fact that they have hit triple digit returns versus that is just giving me a lot of confidence. And the fact that they call it out in this book just gives me a lot of confidence because you can be better than these people, the people that are using quants, algorithms, things like that. And you can just use your common sense and have better returns. Because for me, I look at percentages. I don't care about, oh, I made $1,000 this week. If I made 20%, which is better than 10% of last week, that is huge to me. And that's just crazy because not only do you have to have confidence coming in, but the more time you spend in the markets, you build your confidence. Your value just goes up outside of your or stock portfolio.
Yeah, another thing we said, you build confidence. He did recommend when you first start trading on like day trading, he said for like 3 months, like use paper trading under some platforms. So like you don't risk your real money and like because if you start off, you may make a really, really bad trade and that might discourage you like forever. So he just says like use like paper trade for about 3 months, have some supervision under you, and make sure you know what you're doing basically. So when those 3 months do and you know what you're doing once you like start day trading and everything. So that's another thing he said to recommend.
Thanks. And that's a great point. For me, I hadn't even realized paper trading was a thing when I started trading. So for me, it was like, it was hard for me to take a step back to go into paper trading and then come back into the real world, real live trading. Have you had a chance to paper trade before, Javier?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't yet. No.
True, true. How about you, Enos? Have you?
On what platform have you used paper trading on?
Paper.
I've used paper trading on each. Last week, I traded all my funds swaps, E-Trade, and then a 3-day period, I couldn't use any funds. So I actually use E-Trade, and I use it to do a. So I went long on AT&T. I sold a put on AT&T. Also sold I also bought a put on AT&T. And I think I ended up making like $1,000 on the trade. Now it was paper trading, but it worked pretty well. Like for going over your strategies and applying your strategies.
Facts. And it's really great because it feels and looks just like a real life trading system. So whenever you're doing paper trading, it's affected by the same stocks that's actively moving in the real world. So you can see this what it would have been like for you if you had just started. But for me, I actually do remember I had created a paper trading account on Webull. You can create one on any platform, really. I don't think Robinhood has one, but Thinkorswim, you can do paper trading. Just switch it to a paper trading the toggle. You can also go on Webull. They have a great paper trading platform, and there's a couple other ones that are probably better. But I had created one earlier this year around the COVID March timeline and completely forgot about it. I opened the account. And basically, it gives you $1 million paper money, fake money to trade with. And I put into a couple long-term stocks. I think I bought into Apple, Tesla, Google, Illumina, Microsoft, Berkshire, Disney, and Uber. And so far, that account is up 61% since I created it. So that is dope. I've almost doubled my money, fake money, although and since then. So I definitely think paper trading is a great way to start. If I had started, my returns in real life would probably be a lot better. But it's interesting that you can have access to something like that without risking anything at all. And that kind of goes into the third chapter, which is risk. And basically, one of the biggest things I've seen that people are afraid of getting is, oh, what if I lose my money? What if I lose all my capital and things like that? And yeah, that's a risk. That is a chance. That possibility is always going to be out there. I'm not going to lie to you. Going to tell you the truth straight up. That's always a possibility. It's always a possibility. But if you manage your risk, you don't got to worry about it. Like Javier said, one of the things in the book that they call that is that you should shoot to never lose more than 2% each day as you're day trading. The difference between day trading and swing trading is that when you're day trading, you're not looking to hold any stocks overnight. So your goal is to at least not lose more than 2% each day so that the next day you can come back in and still have a good chance of making profit that will overtake that loss and give you in the green in the long run. And other ways you can do that was they mentioned about trading, sizing your trade. We say it on the podcast all the time. You shouldn't throw your whole account into something. You should kind of shoot to, put about a certain percentage into each position, no matter how confident you are. Because if it goes bad, that's your whole account you're playing with. And it did touch on other stuff like entry, exit, and stop losses. I don't know if you guys had stuff you wanted to talk about regarding that.
Yeah, I'm like even from the time you did your lesson of the week on trailing stop losses, it's just such a fundamental key. It's nothing refresh. There's nothing more refreshing than having a 5% lead on your profits, setting a 30% trailing stop loss, and then just being able to sit back and once you get that trigger note that, oh, this stuff is falling below, just having the money already acquired to buy it right back, being
Mm-hmm.
5 cents in the hole. It also takes the fear because managing risk is a lot about giving away your control. There's something powerful about seeing the market, not looking at the market at not looking at the market at 8 a.m. and then the next time you look at it as 9 a.m. A lot of people be like, what? Well, you don't look at it because everyone's looking at it and everyone's reacting, and you're gonna fall into that trap. If you've set your stop losses, that's part of managing risk. If you've read your research and you know your articles, that's part of risk management. Then you don't have to worry about trading day to day. The trade is already done day to day for you. It's a lot of people think risk management has to do with how you trade. It's really how you live as a trader.
Facts. Facts. And they definitely did bring that up in the book where they were talking about like, hey, if you can manage your risk, you ain't gotta worry about it. Just shoot for a certain percentage you want to make every day. If you have an account over $25,000, you should shoot for $1,000 each day, somewhere around that level. If you have something less than that, shoot for maybe 500 a day, 100 a day, $20 a day. I think Hero, yours was I think $35 a week, which is even more very conservative in my opinion.
No, that's for like, and this is once again, and I come from a dividends background, so that's like when I first learned stock, I didn't learn how to trade options. I didn't learn how to trade swing trade. Someone told me the first thing I ever heard when I got into options trading was someone told me if you buy a stock, I'll pay you in 3 weeks for still having that stock. And that's literally all I did. I was like, okay, so all I got to do is find every stock that pays me and just hold on to those. And every 3 weeks, I was making $245 off of these stocks. And then something dawned on me. What if I could then also incorporate scalping? Because someone was like, oh yeah, if you have every day I watch a stock go up and down. And I was like, damn, every day this stock goes from $10 to $12, and I don't do nothing about that. So you can take risk management. Risk management is literally, it comes in many forms, and it can be called conservative. But what risk management is actually absolutely supposed to do is keep your money.
Facts.
If you're interested in keeping your money, you have a lot of juju type things you do to keep your money. It sounds ridiculous. I think Luke's motto is 20 for 20. He's 20 no matter what happens. He doesn't care if Jeff Bezos went into one of his burning fucking factories and saved all 10 of his workers in there, brought them out, gave one of them chest compressions and then CPR and brought their ass to life. Fucking Amazon's going through the roof. After he gets to 20%, he's out. Luke is out.
Facts.
Oh, speaking of the devil, he's here. Look at him.
He heard you talk about his copyrighted rule, and he hopped in.
Yeah, he came here. The agent is here to claim his percentage. I'll send it in the mail.
Oh, damn. I was listening, but I was having trouble logging in. But
no problem. We was wrapping up the book club of the week. The last point being what Javier had said at the beginning about the best time to trade, and basically, once you have that goal in mind, hey, I'm looking to make, say, $1,000 a day, $1,000 a week. The best time, and this is a great way to know whether you're doing well or not, is the longer you're spending in the day looking at the markets, the more work you got to go do. Because if you're able to go in at the beginning of the day where most of the trading does, all the experts are making their money in the first 30 minutes to 1 hour, and hop out, be done for the day, not worry about looking at the time, as Hero had said, looking at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. If you can get out at 9 a.m. after this 9:30, by the time the market opens at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, you've done your job for the day. You've done your risk management. You've got your target profit for the day. You can go do everything else you want to do. And that's what the book is trying to aim to teach people, like how to be able to reach a point where you don't spend all your time looking at markets, but just consistently hitting your target profits. as well as not losing money. So I think this first 3 chapters of this book has been a great read, great coverage of like the basics that we've all kind of known over the previous experiences in a couple of episodes, but also filling in some gaps as well and giving us more things that we should kind of use to measure our success and progress that we'll probably use. So we'll probably read the next couple chapters in the next 2 weeks and get back to you on that. But that wraps up our book club segment. Going into the weekend review, not much on my end that I saw, but I did see a couple things. A lot of news around Palantir and Snow. Specifically, these are 2 stocks that recently IPO'd, and a lot of people made money since they started. I think Snow started out at like 240, and now it's all the way at 360. And these people are going crazy, like, wow, this is almost doubled since it IPO'd earlier this month or last month. Palantir as well, a lot of day trading and swing trading being going on with that stock as well. Mainly on the options. I've been noticing how like a lot of stocks are moving mainly because of how much activity goes on with the options. Tesla being one of them as well. Palantir as well. I did make a decent amount of profit off the stock itself, buying and holding on for the long run for those 2. But I think my call on Palantir did have a great success a couple weeks ago, and I'm just gonna keep eyeing that as things goes on. Other things that are happening, a lot of talk about OZON. OZON, basically the Russian version of Amazon, IPO this past week, and it's basically skyrocketed. I think since it started, everyone's starting to pay attention, like, hey, e-commerce is the wave. A lot of people that have seen the traction with Amazon and Jumia, which is kind of the African version of Amazon, hopped into OZON. I think I need to buy a couple shares, or I did buy a couple shares, but I think this is a great play that a lot of people have been talking about this earlier week. And I'm gonna see where the stock price is right now. I think OZON's stock price is sitting at around $47.85. So $47.85, which is up a decent amount. I think that's about 20% since it's IPO'd earlier at the end of November. It IPO'd at $40, is already all the way hitting $50. So I think that's a great investment, especially now that it's on a dip, to buy in. But what are y'all thoughts on e-commerce or OZON specifically? Hero?
So I'm always gonna side on things that I know and I feel comfortable with. I feel like there's been a stable stock group to deal with, but I don't know enough about it. So I'm always nervous about it. I know like they've thrived during the pandemic, but either one, they were oversold by too much, so it's hard to get in. And then when you see a huge dip, you get that, like, in your mind, you should say buy. But if you've never had a chance to follow them, then what's the point? Like, so I'm always like, I'm very weary of companies that don't have proper control of their market lines. I remember pre-pandemic, you see companies come out and make statements like, hey, don't come in here trying to upsell our stuff and this. But now all of those talks and conversations have gone away. And even been exacerbated. You can look at the Teslas of the world. Like when they did their split, he said, "Now let's hurry up and get this to 500." How is that not interfering with the market flow? I don't like those type of things. So I stick to old faithfuls who play by the rules, I guess is the best way to say it. But this is a risk thing for me. It makes me nervous to see companies who are just willing to monopolize themselves, like just get on the best team. As a competitor, I want to be able to compete. If there's a team of people, sure, if you only care about winning, then yeah. But if you truly care about self-betterment, then you're going to try and compete against the best people. I want to play against the best people. And that motto doesn't fit well for me from a competitive standpoint.
That's a great point. So for you, making sure that you know exactly as much as possible what you invest in is what you think gives you your edge and allows you to compete with like institutions.
Yeah. Like when people when you literally watch DoorDash and all these companies go join up and are even putting out their own information for people to sell and inflate their stocks, it's just like, go fuck yourself, man. I don't need this.
No, there's definitely been that issue of misleading headlines and misleading like news coming out so that stocks can keep people or their sentiment positive in them. But speaking of sentiment, I feel like that's what one of the things I've been leveraging, especially with OZON, is like I'm following the sentiment. Like if you are in trading, the biggest thing that guarantees profit is what is everyone doing? What is the sentiment that people, not the news, the sentiment, just like we talked about in the last book. And for me, I think there's a lot of strong sentiment with Ozone. So I'm going to ride that wave until it gets to the point, okay, I've got enough profit of this. Let me now see, okay, if this is something that can really test do the test of time, if that's the right analogy. But we'll see how that goes in the future. For now, I think there's a lot of positive sentiment. So it's just something I'm going to swing or ride out till we see what happens. Other thing that happened this week, Uber did announce on the 1st of December that they've completed their merger and acquisition of Postmates. They bought out Postmates for about $2.78 billion. That is crazy. But at the same time, I think they're in talks to sell two other pieces of their business, which is their Uber Elevate program, which is them trying to create air taxis as well as their self-driving business. And for me, this is concerning. I was long on Uber, but once they started talking about that and seeing how much they were struggling just to focus on their food delivery business, which is not the best in my opinion, that was my cue to sell. So I sold my Uber shares for about 30% profit. It was a long-term hold, and I was planning to hold that for a long time. But the two things that I cared about, they were talking about, hey, we're selling this off. It's like, hey, I've lost all interest. But they did complete that merger with Postmates. So Postmates is fully a part of Uber Eats business right now. And I feel like they're using this as a way to kind of solidify their market share in food delivery. They're trying to make sure, okay, this company or their business is going to be consistently profitable over the next decade or so. I don't know if y'all had any thoughts about food delivery, Uber's deal, or anything specifically.
Food deals and all that stuff is still weird to me because once again, I'm afraid to go outside. When this vaccine comes out next week, I'm gonna be the first one in line to take that shit because I'm afraid to go outside. Furthermore, I'm afraid for someone who has been outside all day bringing me my food. Like I just don't see the point of ordering out. I might do some curbside pickup, but like you're right. When they lost the main function of their goal, which was the AI driving, that's what I was really interested in. It really killed it for me.
And it hasn't been officially, I don't think it's been officially announced. I think they're just having talks. But the fact that they're having talks during one of those most difficult times during the pandemic shows how desperate they are. And that's enough information for me. It's like, if they're desperate at this time, that is my cue to leave. I think you had something to say, Lukman.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I agree. I just think people have kind of got tired of quarantining, and I think a lot of the CDC guidelines that were put in place months ago, people are just tired of them. So people aren't washing their hands, people aren't using hand sanitizer. So I do think there's a risk associated with some of these Uber Eats and things like that. But I do think the vaccine will at least eliminate the fear factor when it comes to these companies. I believe in these companies. I don't think these companies are going anywhere. I mean, I think just the convenience and just from a job employment standpoint, I just think it's going to continue to increase because people are got used to this lifestyle, believe it or not. You know what I mean? So I think delivery and your groceries, your food, everything like that. I mean, I just think it's continuing to grow, especially with Amazon kind of leading around too. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
No, for sure. Because just seeing on the college campus, like it's like when kids are hungry, all they do is, let's get let's Uber some food. Let's get they're lazy. They just want food delivered right to them. So even though it's like very unsanitary, someone coming in that was out all day, I guess they just don't care. They think they're immune to COVID. And yeah, I guess just people around my age, around 20s, 19, 18, they just really don't care for once they see that one of their friends is really sick from COVID, then they'll take it seriously. But for now, I think Uber, Lyft, all those companies could be here for a long time.
Thanks. But even what you said with the COVID and the vaccine and just how people are not taking it seriously, it's showing in the numbers. Like this past week is literally all-time high. I understand why. It was a moment this past week where I was in a restaurant and I was looking in back, it was not this past week, but I was thinking about this week and I was looking in the restaurant into the kitchen. I just see all of them without their masks on. They're masking the pool. I'm like, they're still talking over the phone.
Yeah. How do you feel? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
The numbers make sense. The high amount of numbers make sense.
We have I can speak from it. America is doing so poorly at the basic necessities, because if you look at a place like Pauline, Australia, today was their first open festival celebrating no COVID cases in 6 months. A soccer field of people dancing together, celebrating COVID not being an issue. We literally still are having difficulties just getting people to put their mask on correctly. Like, this is the cost of freedom, but it's the same reason why I can't feel bad for small mom and pop businesses, because I don't know, I can't trust the American people enough to do the right thing. So just like how you walk into these stores and see the people talking over your food with the mask on their chin, it's just like, it's crazy to me. Like, wearing a mask is going to be normal for the rest of my life now.
Mm-hmm.
Easily.
I can see it. I'm probably gonna like keep wearing it for like a couple months in after the vaccine has been distributed, which is the next point that we'll talk about in a couple of seconds. But I can see it. Like, it's gonna be a part of my fashion now. It's just gonna be a part of my culture. Really.
Yeah, actually, today I was on Amazon looking like for new masks, like some cool black ones. I was just gonna cop some new masks today. So, yeah.
Facts. I remember when they had posted, like everyone had those like fake disposable ones, the blue ones. Once people had created the black ones, those are instantly selling out everywhere. Like, everyone wanted to get that. And that was something that a lot of people I knew were drop shipping and making a lot of money off of that. But that's an interesting side note. But going on to the vaccine, I know Lukman had talked about it. What do y'all think about the vaccine? I think there's been a lot of news this past week regarding it. I think Pfizer had said that they had to cut their promised deliverable of dosages for next year in half. I think they have promised 1 billion doses, but now they have to cut it down to 500 million due to a scarcity of something. I don't know if you have much to talk about there, Hero.
They're missing like there's a component of it, because the Pfizer vaccine has to stay at -70, so it's super hard to maintain. There's a bunch of core elements you can use to help kind of work around that. But as we have the vaccine in our hospital right now, waiting for the FDA to complete its trials, some of them have already been shipped out, but we're testing them on lungs ourselves. We've used some of the dosages on lungs already. And the results we're seeing prove true, that after 188 hours of being fully dosed with COVID, the body doesn't go into shutdown mode, or the lungs rather. So that's wonderful. But the problem that we're going to face here isn't people wanting to take the vaccine. It's just getting the vaccine to people. That's going to be the hardest part. Our infrastructure and distribution is suffering right now. But as a healthcare provider, I've taken every vaccine you can think of. I can lift more, and I'm probably 10 times healthier than anybody that I can think of who would tell me taking a vaccine is dangerous. So, like, I can hear people also screaming, "Oh, what about the Tuskegee experiment?" Well, shut up. You eat McDonald's every Friday. Go, like, what's your point? Like, if you're eating McDonald's every day, yeah, like,
you got bigger
if you're
things to
eating
worry
McDonald's
about
every day, you got way worse things to get. A heart attack's going to kill you long before they kill you. And then, they're like, "Oh, the government is just trying to call the crowd." I'm like, my guy, if they wanted to kill us, they wouldn't be trying to get us to take the vaccine. They would just let this virus destroy us. Because as of last Friday, the leading cause of death in America this year is COVID. I don't know what else you need proof of, but all I know is I'm taking that vaccine. I'm going to the gym, eating sushi on Fridays, and going to happy hour on Thursdays.
Facts. I think the biggest thing that, like, the government and a lot of media outlets right now are trying to convince people, to go take that vaccine, because they know people are not going to keep wearing their masks or listening to the lockdown measures. So they're trying to get as much political or big figures to show, hey, we're taking the vaccine, so you guys should too. How do you feel like that, with all the news and the vaccine news, the shortages and things like that, is going to affect the stock price itself?
Once the vaccine is out, it's over. Things are going to start getting better.
Yeah, I agree.
Michael Jordan, LeBron, Obama, all of them are going to take it on camera. People are going to be like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then you're going to have a few people that, "I'm not going to take it," but then they're going to go get it. It's just, once we get to a point where people feel comfortable, then everything's back to normal.
Facts. I think it's definitely going to be a lot of... Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I just think it's needed just for the psychological reason, man, more than even if it works or not. Just the psyche of the new year and having some type of vaccine and knowing that things are gonna change. Because I know, especially just being in Atlanta and being in the South, I mean, people don't even care out here anymore. They're just like, we don't care, you know. We'll do what we got to do, you know what I mean? So I just think the psyche, from a psychological standpoint, is just going to be much better for everybody. So I think things can only go up. So
Facts. With that, I think it's going to be a lot of upside leading into next year. So beginning of the new year on Pfizer and Moderna. So I did buy into one share of Moderna this past week. Pfizer was up like 8%. I think off news, but I think it dropped a little bit based off the news they brought out. But I think there's definitely still a little bit upside with the stock itself. But next week, I guess next year, I'm not sure if there's going to be much upside. So I think it's going to be a huge sell-off once the news comes out. Like, people are taking the vaccine, and it's not going to be less incentives. It's going to be a slow decline afterwards. So I'm just going to swing that for now and possibly sell off later. But moving on, we got Slack and CRM. In the previous episode, we had talked about how Salesforce had planned on had pretty much chose to acquire Work. That's pretty much a guaranteed deal. And since then, Salesforce stock dropped a little bit, while a lot of people have been buying into Work, trying to buy in before the deal goes through, that we can get in on a piece of the pie as that deal goes through. So in the past week, Work has gone up a lot. If you played a call or bought into a couple shares of the stock, you'll be up right now. CRM, that's Salesforce ticker symbol, took a little bit of a dip. But I think that's a great buying opportunity for their stock, because a lot of people are saying that with Salesforce acquiring a big productivity app like Work or Slack, it's going to be huge for their business, but also going to make it a lot of eyes on other versions of them as well. So I think CRM would be a great buy if you're looking for that, especially that they just took a dip after their peak this week. But yeah, any thoughts on that? Anyone else tracking Salesforce or Work, Slack?
I'm definitely going to
have 23% on Work.
Dope.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check them out this week for sure.
Yeah, that's a good thing to look into, because I mean that's gonna be something we're all gonna like use probably for the rest of our lives too. So yeah, it's a good stock to look into.
Definitely. I don't know too much about it, but I think that's going to bring a lot of attention to other stuff like Zoom, other stocks like Microsoft with them having Teams, and a couple other productivity apps that like do similar stuff as Slack. But just something to watch out. Another thing that came up this week is Bitcoin. If you've been following Bitcoin, your emotions have been all over the place, just like mine. But basically what had happened is earlier this year, I think Bitcoin had started at 18,000 at the beginning of the year, but it dropped down to somewhere around 10,000, 11,000. And somewhere at the end of November, it started just skyrocketing. It started picking up a huge amount of steam. And with the episodes, you see us talking about how it went from 13 to 14 to 15,000 up until it got around 18, 16, somewhere between 16,000 and 18,000. That's when everyone was paying attention to it. So there was a lot of news articles and headlines talking about Bitcoin, the new wave. A lot of institutions starting to back it. And since then, Bitcoin beat its all-time high ever. I think it hit the all-time high at the time of that episode was about 19,300. It had skyrocketed up to about 19,800, superseding its previous all-time high. But pretty much took a dip back down to about the 18,000 level, which is a lot of people had predicted. I think someone else had called it out in the previous episode that, hey, it's going to take a dip once it hit the all-time high, and then it's going to keep on going up. And right now, this past week, once it took that dip back down to 18,000, it's starting to go back up. It's around 19,000 now. And I think this week or next week, you're going to see it really go past its all-time high. It's just been trading in like a range between 18,000 and 20,000. And I feel like now is going to be the time that it's really going to test that. And if not, it's just going to keep bouncing back between that. But we're going to see how that goes. I'm pro Bitcoin for now, not go throw all your money into it, but at least put a little bit, nothing more than 10% of your portfolio into it. If you have 10,000, don't put more than 1,000 in. But that's just my thoughts on Bitcoin. I know Hero is shaking his head. He's like, I don't know. I'm not agreeing with the Bitcoin move.
Yeah, once the vaccine comes out, watch Bitcoin fall.
Interesting. Why do you think that would be?
Because Bitcoin is the fail-safe of panickers. Oh my God, the dollar's disappearing. Let me put all my money into this imaginary coin. Jeff Bezos said he's gonna buy this coin. It's the Chads and the bros way of feeling superior. me and Elon have something in common. But
isn't that what gold was for? Gold was going to be the thing that if the market is going down, buy into gold. Well, apparently that didn't have the effect this time. This time around, it was gold. It was Bitcoin.
You want to know why? Because guess how valuable? How valuable is? When was the last time you paid for something with a gold coin? When was the last time you paid for something in Bitcoin? But I guarantee you I dare you to go to Walmart with a $100,000 gold nugget and give it to the cashier. She's gonna tell you, I can't accept this. That's just the fact. It's just the fact. So with that in mind, why would I put my faith in something that if the world shut down, it wouldn't even be useful to us?
Facts. I think it's interesting because when you look at what is going on now, things are changing and very quickly. So it's hard to use the same beliefs from before now and applying it now. That's where I'm having an issue. It's like, I hear you, but you feel me? I just think it's going to be different this time. What do you think, Javier?
Actually, from like a few weeks ago when it was on the rise, I actually decided putting like $20 in it, and then I've made probably 1%. I mean, I'm just staying in it just in case it does go up. Because I remember a few weeks ago, some analysts were like, "Oh, it's gonna go up to 100,000. It's gonna go up to 200,000." So just like, I mean, I'm on low risk, and if it goes up, that's great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. So I didn't put that much into it, but I could see why people are using Bitcoin and. I don't know, maybe in the future when people are looking for a currency for everybody to use, Bitcoin could be the answer. It's been here for a long time, and I mean that's my thoughts on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think a lot of people believe that Bitcoin had the best infrastructures built on compared to other ones. For Bitcoin, I think it's built off Riot blockchain. So if you're investing in Riot, they're going crazy just because of how Bitcoin is. I've made so much off of Riot this past few weeks, and we'll talk about that later, but just banking off that, a lot of companies, there's going to be a lot of new tickers hopping on the exchange. Like you're going to see a BTCX, I think it's called Bitcoin Trust Exchange. They have an index or trust fund just for Bitcoin itself. You're going to see a lot of companies like Marathon Pattern Group, Riot taking off with all how much they have just in Bitcoin or how much Bitcoin is backed off them. And those have been some of the biggest movers this past week. And I think it's going to continue being like that with the news, or at least with the rate at which the price is moving up. But we're going to see. We're really going to see. People are looking for different ways to invest in Bitcoin without that. I think these companies like Riot, Marathon, there was another one, PayPal, since they're have a decent amount on their balance sheet, as well as providing infrastructure for you to buy into it. You're going to see a lot of movement in that. But we'll see as time goes on. The truth will reveal itself. It's just going to be seeing how do we react on it? How do we play it? And yeah, that was pretty much it for Bitcoin. Another thing I did see was about the U.S. Treasury announcing canceling lending programs. I haven't seen much updates regarding this, but combine that with I think the deadline that they're talking about, and we can talk about that in the week ahead restriction. Just a lot of stuff that the Senate is voting on this week. The House of Representatives and the Senate are voting on, and it's going to be stuff that.
I'm not paying my loans back. I said that back when I signed that paper. I looked at the lady swearing. I was like, so let me get this straight. Y'all can't send me to jail and y'all can't dock my pay. They're like, no, but we can affect your credit score. I said, what's that? Back when I was signing it, she was like, oh, it's basically lets us people know if you are good at keeping your promises. Oh, everyone's a liar. All right, cool, no problem. And since that day, I've decided I'm never gonna pay my loans back, and I never will. And I don't even have that much. I literally don't have much, but it's just go fuck yourself. I'm not paying for this shit.
And it's looking very likely that they're going to forgive a decent amount. I think Biden is in talks with the House Senate to think about doing a loan forgiveness program for people that have outstanding student loans. And I was thinking about, starting to pay my payment. Like, if Biden's saying that shit, I'm just going to let him pay off half of it.
You know they nervous. You know they nervous when they start sending emails. Hey, by the way, you guys can start paying back as early as December. Oh, word? Thanks for the heads up. I'm still not paying.
Facts.
Don't pay your student loans.
one of the things that they also talk about in this discussion is the weed legalization. I think there's been a lot of talks about them legalizing weed on the federal level, and I think you and Javier probably have the most knowledge about that. But based off that,
Not
a lot of the
legalizing,
major
but decriminalizing.
what is the difference between those two, and how that affect those stocks like Aurora, Tilray, and all that?
Decriminalizing it just means that there no longer no criminal, and this is only on the federal level, so states will still have their ability to do what they want to do. But on the federal level, there will no longer be a pursuit for marijuana. Like, so these sting operations, or if you get stopped by a federal agent and you have weed on you, they can't charge you for having weed on you. It's just no longer a crime they pursue anymore. If it was legalized, then you could carry as much of it as you want. You could distribute it. You could do whatever you want with it. There would be nothing to hinder you from making a profit off of it. You, like, with it being decriminalized, you still can't pay. Like, if you sell it and that's how your only form of profit, then that's considered illegal because there's no way that they can get taxes off of that.
Facts.
So that's how they would
really
get
try
you.
to do. They're really going to try to
support
these businesses so that they can get as much tax revenue from them. So you're going to see a lot of these stocks like Aurora Cannabis taking off, Tilray taking off. What's another one? GRWG.
Buying something now?
Not in my opinion, especially with how a lot of the stocks, cannabis stocks, have terrible management. I feel like you probably only two of them have decent management of their business, but all other ones are just being managed very terribly. So there's a lot of room for concern for a lot of these stocks. Like, I think I hopped in one before and it took a 10% dive because the news came out that the management had done something wrong or something. And that was concerning. Is like, hey, I should probably stay away from these. But there's been a lot of talk of, like, I think SNDL, Sundial, very popular penny stock that's going for about 60 cents, is taking off this past week with a lot of news, a lot of hype. But it's something to definitely be wary about. Because with that news, a lot of people are like, hey, I should go throw my money into these cannabis stocks. And it's yes and no. Yes, to bank off that news, but a lot of these companies are terribly managed, and there's a lot of room for the stocks to just drop if some news or information has come out that people did not know about that they've been hiding. So it's really an iffy situation, really, on whether it is something that you should invest in. I did throw a little bit of profits from my trade towards SNDL because it's super cheap. I'm like, hey, let me see if this $100 can go to 150 and just take that. Mostly just to ride the sentiment, but we'll see how that plays out. Any other thoughts on that, the legalization and how that would affect these stocks or the market overall? Nope.
It'll only push on it, but I don't think it's a good, wise investment.
Facts. No, I agree as well. We're gonna see. We're gonna see in the next couple of weeks. But wrapping up the weekend review, there's been a lot of decent profits as well. I locked in 60% on my Riot call, put a call on Riot, as well as made a play on Marathon Payment Group. These are stocks tied to the news going around about Bitcoin. Locked in 60% on Riot. Locked in 8% on Marathon, but at the time I was testing out one of the new trailing stop features on Thinkorswim, which I did not know was a thing, and it's about to change my whole options trading strategy. But it was a really dope feature, and if I hadn't set the stop loss so tight, it would have probably gone up to 30%, because that same day it was a great call out, but my stop loss triggered it a little bit too soon, because the price had gone from, I think, $8 something to about $10 per contract, which is multiplied by 100. Almost a couple more hundred I could have gotten on that. It would have probably gone up to 30%. But I'm just glad that the feature works, is giving me more confidence in my options trade, and I still locked in that profit. And because it was even still 8%, that was still really great to me. I think Jeremy had also made a lot of profit off of Pepsi, stock ticker symbol KO. I can't talk today. He made a little about $35, $38 off that. Really great call out. Other stocks I sold, Jumia and Uber. I sold half of my Jumia stocks for 90%. If you had been paying attention to this episode, y'all would have known that I was getting into that trade, and you'd have doubled your money by now, honestly. So the reason why you should watch this episode. Sold my Uber stock for 22%. And I did get in on Boeing because I saw a lot of price action, but I entered at a bad time, but I set my stop losses and I got out 15%. So I did take a small hit on that, but I'm still confident BA is going to go up, and I probably has since I got in, but it was just bad timing on my part. I'm just glad I put my risk management in place. The previous earnings from last week, nothing major. There was earnings from Salesforce, Zoom, DocuSign, TD Ameritrade, and a couple other ones, but nothing really big stood out to mind. I think there was something regarding Salesforce that affected its price, but really not much on my end. So that was week in review. Moving on to week ahead. This week, again, fully into the holiday season. There's a couple more earnings report. He's going to talk to us about what has happened in the past few weeks. Potentially more news about how much companies made from this Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Again, this was the biggest Cyber Monday / Black Friday that has been online, just due to everyone being at home and not going to stores in person. So you're going to start hearing news about that in some of these earnings report. I can tell. Probably with Adobe, they're going to probably talk about how much they made off revenue of people buying in at their discounted rates, things like that. But besides that, not much on my end. Two biggest things coming out is DoorDash and Airbnb are IPOing this week. DoorDash is IPOing at, I can't remember what exact price, on Tuesday, and Airbnb as well out on Thursday. I think their starting price is $50. I'll have to fact check that. But this is huge. I think these are two ones that are definitely a buy. I'm just iffy on whether I should hop in at that first day, because typically what happens is it sells off very quickly because the private investors are selling their shares, trying to lock in their profit that they've been invested in since they were either seed rounds and things like that. And those for those that don't know, is when a company goes out, an IPO is initial public offering, and basically that's when a private company decides to go public to raise more funds. I think Airbnb is looking to raise about 2.6 billion in this IPO season, to get their valuation up to about 32.5, 35 billion. I can't remember the exact number. And basically their goal is to raise more funding, but to also go public so that they can have other people buy shares into their company. And typically what happens is those companies, those big private companies that bought into them at their seed rounds, which is the rounds that they use to build valuation and build cash to run their operations before they go public. This is when they typically sell out, because at the time, Airbnb was probably, they're selling for 50 on their IPO, it was probably like $10 in the seed rounds per share, and they've been bought by private companies. But now will be the time for them to sell it and take in that $40 profit per share. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week with those, but I'll definitely be paying attention to those very carefully. As you can see from previous IPOs like Palantir and Snow, is only upside from here. And recently it was crazy because I heard Airbnb is announced that they are not allowing people to book anything with them for New Year's Eve. I'm not sure if you've heard about that, Hero.
I did hear about that, and I think that's a wonderful job. I think this past Black Friday, if you had a grand rush-in for your store, a physical rush-in for your store, I think, and anyone got sick, you should be held responsible. Like the form of negligence, the fact that the FAA knew that this was going to be the biggest season of flying, and no one had the balls to just say, "Hey, in the effort of making sure no one dies in this country, we're going to ground all our flights to minimize travel." Like September 11th happened on Tuesday. And you're probably saying, wait, what? Tuesday? No, this past Tuesday of this month, of this week, of this year, that many people died from coronavirus. When that happened, when 9/11 happened in real life, you couldn't, people were so afraid to go outside. But say it's the coronavirus and no one cares. So it's just like, I commend Airbnb, and I personally used to hate using Airbnb because I like having hotels because I know everything that's going to be in the hotel. But in the future, you know what? If it's a remote area and I got a choice between a hotel and Airbnb, I'm not opposed to it because that's good business.
No, Airbnb is a really great business. Like even in the past earnings report, they've been talking about how they took a huge hit because of COVID and people not buying Airbnbs as much as possible. So they are reporting losses, but surprisingly, their losses were nowhere near what people were expecting. And because of that, they've been doing well and having positive news. But that's just something to keep in mind of, that they did take a hit this COVID, and with them doing that on New Year's Eve, that's a lot of revenue they're going to lose. So I don't know how that's going to really affect the stock itself. So that might even be cute to hold off on buying it for now, wait for it to get to a much lower price and buy in later. Or what do you think with that? With them not having much revenue from that, especially with the one they're trying to cancel on New Year's, do you think that's going to make the stock more interesting or attractive to people? Or more so, hey, I don't want to buy into this?
So I think you talking about the Airbnb?
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I think that's such an interesting business just because of I mean, I felt like it was doing really well before the pandemic, but I just think it's going to take a little bit to get going again, just because, you know, people are going to have to get used to sharing their homes, and people are going to have to get used to going in other people's homes and stuff like that. And like for me, like hotels are just easier for me with travel, you know what I mean? Just because of all the rules and stuff. And I know, like, hey, it's just going to be me in this room. So I think the comfort with hotels is going to, interfere a little bit with Airbnb. But I do think Airbnb is going to come around, kind of like Uber and Lyft and all these kind of companies of that ride share and home share. So I'm interested in getting in.
You going to buy a couple shares?
After this week, though, I want to see how the shares come out. I want to watch them for a week, and then I'll kind of get a position, hopefully in a week or so.
Great idea. I think that's definitely what I'm going to do too, because it's probably going to be a dip at the first few days, and then you can then buy in at a low and let it ride up, because typically stocks drop after the IPO and then take a little bit of a time to go back up above their IPO level and just go from there, just start skyrocketing from there. So there'll definitely be those two to watch. As Lukman said, my advice, wait the first day, a couple of days, see how it does. Just make sure there's no dip or sell-off. Once that sell-off happens, which normally happens, then you can buy in. Worst case, if there's no sell-off and you just get in later, you can still ride it up as it goes. But we'll see how that goes. I'm probably going to look more at Airbnb than DoorDash, but Airbnb, I think, is going to be an interesting play. Only other thing that I saw was this week, there is a deadline for U.S. Congress to pass a funding bill to avert government shutdown. With a lot of the positive news around COVID going on is that a lot of the programs that are being in place, like I think the CARES Act or one of the House acts, is that they're running out of funding. And by the time this deadline happens, I think December 12th, they need to do this, or else the whole government is going to have to put everything in lockdown because not enough funds to run these programs. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, whether the House is going to pass a bill to provide more funding, they're going to deny it, they're going to cut it. I think it's going to definitely change people's views on the markets overall, or at least the amount of money going into the markets this week or next year. But we'll see. I don't know if you had anything to add on that, Hero. I know you follow more of the political side of things.
And they'd be a fool to let the government shut down in the middle of a pandemic. When the people need you the most, the government isn't even running. It's just more salt in the wound. But Trump is crazy. He'll let it happen.
Hey, it's happened twice this past year. This will be the third one if he actually goes through.
It's happened with less issues. So, man, it's just one of those things that you hate to see, because people like me won't suffer from that. You're worried about the people who are going to suffer.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And I'll probably provide that news in the group chat. One of the benefits of being in the Discord is that we share news with each other, let people know about stuff going on ahead of time or as it's happening, so you get that early movers advantage. But besides that, earnings reports coming up this week. Jinko Solar, one of the leading names in the energy industry, that's been killing it this past few weeks. Literally, the energy industry has been having the highest returns this past few weeks. So with them providing an earnings report, that will give you a lot of insights on how these energy companies are doing. So if you can use that as something, leverage or info on what other companies are doing, that would be great. Other ones being GameStop. GameStop is a dead company to me, so it's not something I would even look into. MongoDB, a lot of cloud and infrastructure goes on top of their technologies. We have Adobe. Adobe is a big one as well. Asana, one of the companies that recently IPO'd, so it'll be interesting to see I think this is maybe their first quarter's report, so probably see what goes on with that. But besides that, that is about it for this week ahead. And with that we can kind of go into our members picks for this week. For me, I am really just going to be trying to sell off a lot of my positions I have right now and open up a lot of more cash so I can buy into new things. I feel like this past few weeks I've just been following electric vehicle plays, Bitcoin plays, and a couple other random ones that have popped up around there, like IPOs and new companies. But besides that, I'm probably just gonna keep looking at the same things. I'm gonna be looking at EV plays, probably selling off my positions or buying, making quick options plays or swings on those, as well as Riot, Marathon. For electric vehicles, ones I'm mainly looking at are Tesla, Fisker, that's FSR, SBE, that's Switchback Energy, as well as Switchback Energy, that's SBE, as well as Blink Charging. I've pretty much sold off most of my shares of those ones, but I'm gonna be looking to still make a couple scout plays with options just in case they keep on rising. Same thing for Riot and Marathon. But besides that, that is about it for me.
I think I'm going to follow suit. I do have a few open positions that I'm trying to close out, and not positions as in stocks, but just like trying to get them back to their lowest point, but they've been climbing so well. I think playing it safe this week is not a bad idea. It's really gonna be a quiet week by all standards. Like when you think about all this, for the last 4 weeks, something major has been happening every week. And I think Friday was the first time like we had a market close and it wasn't like some major surprise at the end. So I'm thinking on that.
Definitely agree. How about you, Javier?
Yeah, actually, this week I bought into Square and also Roku. I saw it went down to like $295, and I bought a stock of Roku. It went up. I mean, I bought it at 280. I mean 282. So I made about like $13, $14 on it right now. So I don't know. I'm gonna hold that for a little bit, see what happens. So yeah, Roku and Square basically.
Roku and Square, those are definitely great plays. How about you, Lukman?
Yeah, so I agree. I'm trying to collect some cash. I'm probably going to take some profits on my Jumia. I think I'm up 142% on that. So I think I'm going to take some profits, probably half of that. I'm definitely going to look into some Uber and Lyft. I sold those stocks a while back, but I kind of want to just see where they're going to go. I was looking at what is it? NIO is
NIO,
NIL.
yep.
Yeah, I was looking at them. It's something that I want to see how it kind of goes this week, but it's something I might buy a couple shares of just to kind of see, just because that's probably a long-term play for me, like a year out, if I could double that. So I'm looking at NIO.
Definitely.
And so those are kind of the ones on my radar right now. Obviously, with the holidays coming up, I think the Best Buys, the Targets, the Amazons, I'm going to continue to monitor those and invest in those, and hopefully try and swing some of those after the holiday season kind of comes to an end.
Definitely. I think that those are definitely all plays. And what you had said also just reminded me of another one I'm looking at. It's called SPG. That's Simon Property Group. That's when I called out a while back. And they've been killing it this past week.
Hey,
man, I wish I bought a couple more, man. And they're a great dividend stock too. So I'm looking forward to that dividend distribution sometime soon. But I think that's another one I'm gonna look at. I might look into buying a lot more of them if they keep this traction, especially with a lot of the post-COVID things coming out, news coming out. I think it'll be a great play. It's a great safe play, but also dividend play.
I agree. I think it's going to continue to rise as things come open again. So I agree. I sold a lot of it a while back, but I agree. I might get back in SPG too. That's a good idea.
I might get a lot more this time too. But yeah, that is the members' picks. This week, the question for the audience is, what has been great about the Trade Tribe for you? If you've been in the group, if you're just following our stories on Instagram or Twitter, if you're watching our YouTube, if you are listening to us on podcasts, what has been great about it for you? What did you like? What did you not like? Feel free to let us know in the comments or send out a message. Another stock question of the week is, what stock was your favorite in 2020? I already know mine. Mine is either going to be Tesla or Riot. Man,
Tesla's been good.
Tesla's been really good to me, but it's also been bad. So I might link to Riot just because how much some of the money I lost on Tesla, overplaying it too much. But we're gonna see. But more responses from our social media. Big shout out to _thirds world for giving us the book of this week. He definitely recommended. He said it's definitely a great read. Learned so much from reading the book. can now make his own trades and make money because of this. 100% recommend reading this book and joining his Discord group. So for those that don't know, the author of the book, How to Day Trade, also has his own group. I think it's called Vancouver Trades or something. But he's created his own community. I'm gonna look into what that looks like and see if there's anything we can kind of emulate or use to make the Trade Tribe better. But feel free to let us know. I think Hero, you had brought a question on our Instagram for one of the questions we had asked on our story. I can't remember what it was. I think it disappeared. Do you remember what the question was?
Should have screenshotted it.
I think I did though. Keep going. I think I took a screenshot earlier this week. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm not sure if you posed the question to me again, but I know it was something. It was something about like how we choose our stocks or something like that. Like what makes us what makes us feel comfortable about a stock? Like how do you feel comfortable about a stock? Like I take it from the perspective of as a person who doesn't eat McDonald's. How do I feel about buying stocks in McDonald's? I have no qualms about it. You know why? Because they have great dividends. Stocks isn't about a battle of morale. You'll lose that battle every time because stocks is about money. It's about business.
Facts. Learn how to separate the two, and you should be good from there. I know I took a screenshot of it. I just can't find it. I'll try to find it for the next episode and bring that question and the answer.
I ain't gonna be here for the next episode. How about that?
Well, you can always tune in to our Instagram and Twitter and definitely get the reaction from there. But yeah, that is our question of the week. Definitely let us know what you think. But besides that, as every episode, thank you so much for listening. This is episode 11, season finale of season 1. We've made it this far. I'm super happy to be here with you guys and have made it this far, and we'll continue to keep going into the next year. So by the time you're listening to this, it is probably going to be 2021 or about to be 2021. So I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Thanks for you guys for making this a great year for not only us, but the entire Trade Tribe. Thanks for listening. Thanks for those that we have on today. This is a Trade Tribe, so make sure to share this with your friends and family, whichever way you're listening or watching to this. Follow us on social media at The Trade Tribe and subscribe to us on YouTube and any podcast app that you use. Besides that, good luck trading. Tribe out. Happy New Year.
Take care.
Dope.
Boy,
appreciate you guys. With what?
And looking at this score of these games. How did the Bears lose, Luke?
Oh, come on! Don't even talk about that. It's like 6 in a row now. I think it's embarrassing. Snooks are 5.